more broken promises, no more call to war. Less is love and peace that really.
My topic this evening, as I spoke to your distinguished president, and she had asked me to touch on some areas related obviously to women, I thought it'd be appropriate to talk a little bit about the role of women in nation building. The role of women in nation building. And as I do so, I'll begin with a little symbolism of the challenges I believe we're faced with today, followed by some real life situations in our country. We'll talk a little bit about women as nurturers, women as mentors, single women and your challenges, and also women in leadership. I trust that you will be informed, encouraged, but most importantly challenged by what my message is tonight. The Eskimos of Alaska has a very unique way of killing their menace to society. They live in the wild out on the ice, these Eskimos. And there's a great Alaskan wolf that comes by and destroys them and their property. What they have developed as a way to deal with this menace is they would use a knife, very, very sharp razor blade knife on both sides, and they would dip it in animals' blood. They would freeze the knife and they would erect it on the ice almost to look like an icicle. They would then go to bed. At night, the beasts would come by for their prey, and he would smell the blood inside the ice. He would then start to lick, and he would lick, and he would lick. As he continues to lick, his tongue gets numb, but he licks. He licks faster and faster as he approaches the rich, fresh blood. Lo and behold, as he licks faster, his mouth numb from the ice, he doesn't realize he's tasting his own blood. The next morning, the Eskimos get up from a good night's sleep and meet the great Alaskan wolf dead on the ice. Ladies and gentlemen, what a graphic depiction, I bet you would say. But this story reminds me of the insatiable appetite in our little country today. We have become like the greedy wolf. We want more, so we lick harder and faster, only to discover that we are self-destructing. In short, our ancient landmarks have been removed and we have lost our way. So how did we get here? Who is responsible for this dismal state of affairs? This brings me to my thesis of my presentation this evening. As we discuss this topic, the role of women in nation building, my purpose tonight is to convey an awareness of the profound responsibilities women have today despite their unique circumstances. And in doing so, shed some light on your true role as mother, spouse, teenager, single woman, homemaker, businesswoman, and yes, Prime Minister. Ladies, we were once an innocent and peaceful paradise. It seemed like overnight things have changed, and we've become irresponsible and, I believe, undisciplined. We've lowered our standards to the lowest possible denominator. I believe collectively we are all letting our country down. In order for true empowerment to be realized in women, your personal and national responsibility must be addressed, or else we will follow the plight of the great Alaskan wolf. So let's look a little bit closer of our country. Let's deal with some facts. The Nassau Guardian had an article published just this week, Thursday, 27th of October. It was alluding to a speech in the Senate by Dr. Dwayne Sands, who presented the following statistics. Now, after describing some of the graphic details of violence throughout our country, he then gave some specifics of teen pregnancies at Princess Margaret Hospital. Of 3,400 live births in 2009, there were 587 born to girls under the age of 18. This represents 17%. In 2010, there were 623 live births to girls under the age of 18. This represents an increase to 34%. Of this amount, 214 were less than 16 years old. And this was an increase from 108, which was in 2009. So if we break these stats down a little bit, what we find is that almost 2 live births per day are born to girls under 18 in the last 2 years. We must therefore agree that this is a national crisis, and we should all express deep remorse for these series of events. As we all know, this is only the tip of the iceberg, and there's likely more information below the radar that we don't really know. So it is therefore essential, I believe, for all of us to just pause for a moment and introspect on our responsibility for this mayhem. And so what should we do about this trend? I would firstly strongly recommend those mothers, wives, and grandmothers associated to gain the facts about these fathers involved and harness the courage to expose them. Our laws must address the fact that every girl under 18 who becomes pregnant by a male over 18 has essentially violated our existing laws. Our social services and support systems must address this, particularly the women who feel threatened by financial, emotional, sexual, and physical abuse, to get help and be treated with sensitivity and with respect. We must reform our educational system to focus on the importance and the necessity of education, family life, life skills, technical and vocational training, and self-esteem building. And this leads me to an interesting fact I found the other day when Sir Cecil Wallace Whitfield, who was the Minister of Education at the time, he traveled and felt that our children in the public school deserve so much more. And so he came back with an idea that he sold to his cabinet colleagues, that our public school children should be taught in an air-conditioned and carpeted classrooms. It caught on. Stephen Dillett, Uriah McPhee, you know the story. But what is interesting, the untold story about that decision was many of the children came into the classroom and they used this as opportunities to sleep and go on the carpet and get a rest that they couldn't get at home. So we need to teach as we introduce these new ideas, these new philosophies. We must prepare ourselves through information and training. Women are nurturers and life givers. When God wanted to change the world, he had a baby. That means something happened when Mother Teresa was born. Something then happened when Mahatma Gandhi was born. When Arnold and Viola Pinlin got together, there was the birth of Lyndon O. Pinlin. And then there was you and I, my parents back there. They got together, and here we are, Kendal versus Alston Major. This is how the world changed, by people, not by accidents. So this statement speaks to the profound possibilities of who we are when a baby is born. The chances are endless. The ensuing years of a precious child is directly related to the fluence of the mother. She has the delegated responsibility and authority through her physical and mental makeup to speak life into these children. Her gift is inherent in who she is. What she says over these children before birth and after birth does matter. Studies show praying, singing, and speaking positive words and thoughts over our children make a difference in their attitude and well-being. To be a nurturer, you have to be strong and steadfast and resilient. In fact, Eleanor Roosevelt put it this way. She said, "A good woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until she gets in hot water." That deserves an amen. So imagine if every mother knows the great value, her great value as a nurturer, and how that adds to nation building. That child could invent a cure for the AIDS virus. That child could find a cure for cancer, that dreaded and cursed illness. That child could become a Rhodes Scholar or become Prime Minister. That mother who nurtured that well-socialized individual will forever be proud, no matter how old that child is. That mother would say, "That's my baby." Yes, as we consider the result of positive influences on children, we must also be mindful of the negative ones as well. Just think of it. These were once celebrated, beautiful, bouncing babies, but something happened along the way. The reality is that some women are struggling with personal identity. In fact, many don't appreciate who they are and what role they ought to play in this family, this world, this community. No wonder why many relationships are abusive. As Dr. Miles Monroe often says, if you don't know the purpose for something, you tend to misuse it and abuse it. So this is important because it's not about what a woman does, but whom she is that matters. She must understand her rights, and they are God-given, and they are inherent in who she is and to whom she belongs. For it is only when she makes this mindset shift will she be fully comfortable in her own skin. I submit that this is the greatest discovery that has excluded and eluded women today. It is the discovery of personal self and value. I commend to you a story about identity. Several years ago, I established a mentorship program for at-risk boys at a public school. When my team was first introduced to the boys, we were told in their presence that they were difficult, at risk. I was immediately taken aback by this reference to the boys being regarded as at risk. So the first decision we made was to change the names of the group. The organization of which I speak is Real Men Ministry International. So we changed their name to Real Boys International. They were thrilled. It provided a sense of belonging, a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose for them, and it gave them a reason to want to be respected. In fact, one of the boys who were part of the program is now one of my personal assistants in my campaign today. Many mothers have, thank you.